Kiana Moore, a black Jiu-Jitsu fighter, entered the Whitmore Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy, a place dominated by white men and filled with discriminatory views. From the moment she stepped in, she could feel skeptical eyes watching her from every corner. Even Coach Whitmore doubted her intentions. But Kiana didn't care. She came to practice, not to be insulted. After going through tough training and being insulted, Kiana accepted the challenge from Logan Bradley, the gym champion who underestimated her abilities. In 14 seconds, with an incredible move, Kiana defeated Logan, surprising the entire gym that had initially doubted her. They didn't know Kiana was Spectre, an elite agent who was believed to have died on a secret mission. Her victory revealed her identity and awakened a threat from a dark organization that faked her brother's death. Now Kiana fights to uncover the truth and expose the lies made against her. Along the way, Kiana finds unexpected allies and fights a broken system, both on the mat and in her life. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe. Tomorrow's episode will be even more intense. Chapter 1. The First Step. The bell above the door gave a sharp metallic ring as it swung open. Kiana Moore stood still for a moment, letting her presence settle into the room before stepping inside. The Whitmore Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy smelled like sweat, rubber mats, and testosterone. The walls were lined with championship photos. None of them showed women. None of them looked like her. As she walked in, heads turned. Conversations quieted. A few glances shifted back to their drills, but many eyes stayed on her, watching, weighing, doubting. Her black duffel bag thudded against her leg with every step. Her hair was tied back, face clean, expression calm. She wore no makeup, no smile, and no apology. "Can I help you?" asked a voice from behind the front desk. A young man with sharp blue eyes and a too-tight polo shirt looked up at her with a smirk he thought was subtle. "I'm here to train," Kiana replied, sliding a waiver across the counter. "Drop in." He raised an eyebrow. "It's advanced class today." "I know." Coach Whitmore stepped out from behind the office partition, drying his hands with a white towel. Gray hair slicked back, sleeves rolled, his black belt resting slightly off-center around his hips. He had the air of a man who believed every room belonged to him. "You the one who called earlier?" he asked, sizing her up. Kiana nodded. "Yes, sir." He squinted. "You train anywhere before?" "Couple places," she said casually. He didn't push, just gave a short grunt and pointed. "Locker rooms are in the back. Class starts in 5. She didn't thank him. She didn't need his permission. By the time she stepped onto the mat, the room had reanimated, drills resuming, laughter breaking out. Kiana stretched in silence. No one approached her. One man openly chuckled when she began hip escapes. Another whispered something to his partner that made them both grin. She didn't flinch. Her body moved with purpose. Smooth transitions, clean technique, controlled breathing. She wasn't there to impress them. She was there to remind herself that she hadn't lost her edge. Coach Whitmore's commands echoed through the space. "Pairs of 2, guard retention, go, nobody move toward her," until one of the blue belts was forced to. "Don't break her," one of the white guys joked. Kiana smiled politely. The blue belt, nervous, lanky, avoided eye contact. They rolled once. She swept him in 3 moves. The second time, she passed his guard like water. By the third round, he was apologizing every time he tapped. Whitmore watched from across the room, expression unreadable. After class, she sat on the bench, unwrapping her belt with care. She could feel them watching, even the ones pretending not to. Logan Bradley stood near the lockers. The name was whispered with reverence throughout class. Brown belt, gym champion, clean cut, handsome in a preppy, smug way. The kind of man who didn't get questioned, only celebrated. He walked over slowly, arms crossed, eyes low. "You new here?" he asked. Kiana nodded, not looking up. You roll good for a hobbyist. She tied her belt slowly. I wasn't rolling, she said flatly. I was holding back. His smirk twitched. You're funny. I wasn't trying to be. A pause. Then he leaned in slightly. You want a real roll? Let me know. Just don't cry if it gets rough. She finally looked up. Calm. Steady. You think I came here to cry? Logan's grin faltered. A few guys nearby chuckled nervously. I came here to train, Kiana said. But if you want to be my warm-up, that's fine too. Silence spread across the room like a crack in glass. Coach Whitmore stepped out of his office again, wiping his hands with another towel. Bradley, he called. That a challenge? Logan shrugged. She asked for it. Whitmore looked at Kiana. Her voice was firm. I accept. He nodded slowly. Tomorrow. Full contact. Logan turned and walked away, already victorious in his mind. Kiana didn't watch him leave. She didn't need to. Later that night, in her apartment, Kiana sat alone on the floor, barefoot, staring at a photo on the wall. Her brother, tall, uniformed, smiling like he hadn't yet seen hell. She reached behind the frame and pulled out a black USB drive. She plugged it into a worn laptop and waited. The screen blinked. Then a file opened. Project, Spectre. Last known location, redacted. Kiana exhaled. They didn't know who she was, not yet. But they would. Chapter 2. The cold mat. The mat felt colder the next morning. Kiana arrived 15 minutes early. The gym was mostly empty, just a few early grinders doing shoulder rolls and flow drills. She went through her warm-up in silence, her movements clean, unhurried, efficient. She could feel them watching again. Not just out of curiosity now. There was something else in the air. Tension. Logan wasn't there yet. But the whispers were. She's military, right? Coach wouldn't let her roll if she wasn't at least decent. Maybe he just wants her humbled. Coach Whitmore walked in and nodded at her, still unreadable, still detached. He didn't ask if she was ready, because she already was. The room was fuller by the time Logan arrived. He entered with that swagger, towel over his shoulder, black compression shirt, full of smirking confidence. The kind of guy who always imagined himself as the hero in every story. He made a show of warming up, talking loud with his friends, tossing glances toward Kiana that were more bait than banter. She didn't bite. Coach clapped once, loud. All right, we've got a special round before drills today. He looked around the room. Kiana, Logan, center mat. The rest of the class cleared out like a tide pulling back. Phones came out, but subtly, people leaned against the wall, trying not to look obvious, but everyone was watching. Kiana stepped onto the mat first. Logan followed, shaking out his shoulders, already grinning. Don't blink, he said, just loud enough for nearby students to hear. She didn't respond. Coach nodded once. Full contact, submission or tap. No time limit. You both know the rules. Kiana bumped fists with Logan. His was harder than it needed to be. She didn't flinch. The match lasted 14 seconds. Logan shot for a single-leg takedown. Quick, powerful, technically sound. But Kiana's sprawl was immediate, fluid like water, heavy like concrete. She circled, caught his back, locked in a rear naked choke before his ego could even react. By the time he realized what had happened, his palm was tapping frantically against the mat. Gasps filled the room. One phone dropped, another recorded it all. Coach blew the whistle even though it wasn't needed. Logan sat up coughing, confused, humiliated. Kiana stood, adjusted her GI, and nodded once to Whitmore. The coach didn't say anything, but his eyes narrowed. Something had clicked. After class, the locker room was quiet. Logan left early. Kiana sat alone, drying her face with a towel, her breath calm. A few students passed her, nodding politely now, not out of mockery, but respect. One of them, a brown belt named Marcus, paused. That was impressive, he said. Thanks. He hesitated. You military? Kiana looked up, and for the briefest second her eyes betrayed a flicker of danger. Something like that, she said. That night her phone buzzed. No name, just a number she hadn't seen in years. Unknown number. They're watching. Unknown number. You weren't supposed to come back. Unknown number. Stay low, or they'll finish what they started. Kiana stared at the messages. Then she turned the phone off and slid it under her mattress. She opened the file again. The one from the flash drive. A grainy photo of her brother in tactical gear, coordinates, a timestamp, and a single line of classified metadata. Subject presumed dead. Spectre status, compromised. Kiana leaned back, eyes sharp. If they were watching, then they already knew. Spectre was back, and this time, she wasn't coming quietly. Chapter 3. Logan's Silence. The video had over 47,000 views by noon. Someone from the gym had uploaded it, just 14 seconds of footage, shaky but clear. Logan lunging, Kiana countering. Tap, tap, tap. No edits, no music, no commentary. Just truth, raw and undeniable. The comment section was a war zone. That's Logan Bradley? Damn. She folded him like laundry. Who is she? Spectre? I thought that was just a codename rumor. Kiana didn't respond. She didn't even watch the full clip. She already knew what it looked like, what it meant, but she wasn't the only one paying attention. That afternoon, Logan didn't show up for training. Neither did half the guys who had been laughing the day before. Coach Whitmore stood in the middle of the mat, arms crossed, scanning the room. His regular swagger dimmed. Not gone, but dulled. Like someone trying to piece together a puzzle that had changed shape overnight. He called for sparring rounds. Kiana rolled with Marcus. It wasn't a show. It was real. No ego, no commentary, just technique. After the final bell, Marcus lingered. You got people looking for you, he said softly while untying his belt. Always have, Kiana replied. He gave her a long look. Not the good kind, right? Kiana wiped her brow, then nodded once. Definitely not. Later that night, a message arrived through her encrypted channel. Only 3 people in the world knew that Inbox existed. Ghost node active. They know you're alive. Whitmore used to work with Harbor. It's not just a gym. Don't trust the floor beneath your feet. She stared at the screen, then deleted the message. But the last line stuck. Not just a gym. The next morning, Kiana arrived early. She wasn't here to train. She was here to test something. She walked the perimeter of the locker room with her scanner device, a slim mat tool she had hidden inside her bag. It picked up faint signals from under the mat room. Not Wi-Fi, not Bluetooth, surveillance. She followed the signal to Coach Whitmore's office. The door was closed, but the audio wasn't. She stood quietly and listened. 2 voices, Whitmore's and someone she didn't recognize. She's too clean. No public history after 2018. That's not a civilian record. So what do we do? Watch and wait. If she's Spectre, she's not alone. Kiana stepped back from the door before her breath could betray her. That evening, Logan returned. Not to train, just to show face. He didn't meet her eyes. He didn't speak. He rolled with a white belt, tapped 3 times in 5 minutes, and left early, without showering. But before he disappeared, he walked past her slowly and said one thing under his breath. I didn't upload the video. Then he was gone. Kiana sat on the bench, unwrapping her hands. The war was waking up again. And this time, it wasn't coming with sirens. It was coming in silence. Chapter 4. The Man in the Red Suit. Kiana hadn't dreamed in months. But that night, sleep dragged her back into a memory she tried to forget. Her final mission. Desert heat. Radio silence. The sharp crack of betrayal from someone who was supposed to be on her side. and the last thing she saw before it all went dark. A red suit. Not camouflage. Not a uniform. A tailored red suit, clean and unbothered, walking calmly past the carnage as if war was a boardroom meeting. She woke up sweating. It wasn't just a dream. She'd seen him before. And her brother's last message, "Don't trust the man in the red suit," burned brighter now than ever. At the gym, Whitmore acted like nothing had changed. "Live rolls today," he called out. "Control before chaos." Kiana paired with Marcus again. The rest of the class gave her space like she was radioactive, curious, terrified, half impressed, half waiting for her to break someone again. During cool down, Whitmore approached her. "You've got clean transitions," he said. Kiana didn't respond. He continued, lowering his voice. "Reminds me of a girl I trained in Bahrain. Military contractor. Killed 3 men in a cave and walked out without a scratch." Still, she said nothing. Whitmore gave her a tight smile. "If you're anything like her, you're wasting time on blue belts." Then he walked away. Outside, Marcus caught up to her in the parking lot. "You've seen the guy?" he asked. Kiana narrowed her eyes. "What guy?" "The red suit." She froze. Marcus pulled out a worn photo, black and white, slightly burned at the edges. It showed a group of soldiers standing around a metal crate. In the background, just off-center, stood a man in a pristine red suit. Face barely visible, smile too calm. "He showed up just before my brother's unit vanished. We were told it was a training accident. Closed casket. No records. Just a medal." Kiana exhaled. Same suit. Same smile. Same lie. That night, she returned to the gym after hours. She didn't use the front entrance. There was a vent system she remembered from the blueprint she accessed weeks ago. She slipped through the side maintenance hatch and dropped quietly into the back hallway. The scanner led her again, to beneath the mat room. She found a storage room behind a false wall. Inside, surveillance hard drives, black site schematics, medical files labeled with barcodes, not names, and in the far corner, a file with her photo on it. More Kiana. Subject status, unconfirmed deceased handler, Dr. Elias Wren, Red Protocol. Her breath hitched. She remembered that name, and the red suit. The door creaked behind her. Kiana spun, knife drawn from her boot. But it was Marcus. "I figured you'd come back," he said. "You're not the only one hunting ghosts." He held up a USB drive. "This has everything from Whitmore's private logs. He's not just a coach. He's a recruiter." "For who?" Kiana asked. Marcus looked at her. "For them, the ones who made specters, and unmade them." Kiana stared down at the file in her hands. She wasn't unmade. She was unfinished, and someone still wanted her erased. Chapter 5. Red Protocol. The files were encrypted, but Marcus had cracked more than just codes in his time. They sat side by side in his apartment, a modest second-floor walk-up with dusty medals on the wall and an unopened letter addressed to his brother on the counter. The screen glowed. Red Protocol. Access restricted underneath it. Authorized personnel only. Spectre classification. Kiana stared at the header like it was a memory trying to resurface. A red bar pulsed slowly across the top as if alive. Marcus looked at her. "You ever heard of Red Protocol?" She nodded once. "I was trained to forget it." He tapped into the first folder. The contents were staggering, not just about her, but dozens of others. Names replaced by numbers. Soldiers, fighters, agents who had died in war zones but were rerouted to shadow units for unsanctioned missions. Their operations, off-book, their existence, erased, and all under the direction of a civilian handler, Dr. Elias Wren. Codename, the man in the red suit. "Look at this," Marcus said, pulling up a document marked Classified Level 9. It was a proposal, dated years ago. Minority combatants present unique PR and operational advantages, easily masked, easily forgotten. Kiana's jaw tightened. This isn't just covert, she muttered. It's strategic erasure. They didn't just use us, Marcus added. They built us as weapons, then buried us when they were done. Suddenly, the screen flickered. Remote access detected. Synchronizing. Kiana moved fast. She yanked the drive out before the signal could finish transmitting. The window vanished, replaced by a red triangle blinking in the corner. You were traced? Marcus asked, voice low. No, Kiana said coldly. They were already watching. That night she returned to the gym for one reason. Whitmore. She didn't sneak in this time. She walked through the front door. Whitmore stood in the center of the mat, waiting, almost like he expected her. You broke into my files, he said. No, Kiana replied. I just remembered who I am. He tilted his head. You shouldn't have come back, Spectre. She stepped closer. You're not my commander. You're not supposed to exist. Neither was my brother. For the first time, his eyes flickered. Kiana took one more step forward. You're going to tell me where they took him? Whitmore didn't answer, but his stance shifted, subtle, defensive. She read it instantly. They weren't going to talk. Their fight was brutal. It wasn't a spar. It wasn't about points. It was survival. Whitmore was skilled, ex-military, trained, precise. But Kiana wasn't just skilled. She was made for this. 2 minutes in, he reached for a hidden blade in his belt. She caught his wrist, disarmed him, and swept his legs clean. He hit the mat with a thud that echoed through the gym. Blood dripped from his mouth. You've already lost, she said, crouching over him. He coughed and gave a twisted smile. Then they'll send Ren. Kiana stood over him, heart pounding. Whitmore didn't need to say anything else. She knew what Red Protocol meant now. Not just secrecy, not just silence, but scorched earth erasure. And Ren was coming. Chapter 6. Signal from the Dead. Marcus's apartment was darker than usual when Kiana returned. The windows were covered with blackout curtains, and the only light came from the blue hue of 2 open laptops running parallel decryption programs. He turned as she entered. You're bleeding. Kiana glanced at her arm, a shallow cut from Whitmore's hidden blade. Not deep. Did he talk? She shook her head. He tried to kill me, said they're sending Ren. Marcus paused. Then we're running out of time. They inserted the USB into an offline machine, one Marcus had kept from his military days. No network, no traceable signals. Inside was a new folder, auto-unlocked after the last one was accessed. It was labeled Spectre Gray. Subject, Elijah Moore. Status, deceased, unconfirmed. Last signal, 18 months ago, Sierra 9 outpost. Kiana leaned in. The screen displayed a scrambled audio clip, corrupted, fragmented. Marcus clicked, clean up, and slowly a voice broke through. Kiana, if you get this, I'm not gone. Ren lied. Trust no one. They're using the gym as static. She froze. It was Elijah's voice, raspy, tired, real. Her brother was alive. Marcus looked at her. Where's Sierra 9? Kiana blinked hard. Western Nigeria, deep jungle, former black site. It was shut down years ago. Unless someone turned it back on. The gym was closed the next day, officially maintenance, but Whitmore's body had been removed quietly. No police, no questions. Just bleach and silence. Someone had cleaned up fast. Too fast. Kiana stood across the street in a hoodie, watching. A black SUV idled near the entrance. No markings, no tags. Windows tinted darker than legal. The passenger door opened, and a tall figure stepped out. Slick gray hair, red tie, red pocket square, thin black gloves. Elias Wren. He looked straight at the gym for a moment, then turned his head, looked across the street. Right. Address her. Kiana didn't move, but her pulse surged. Ren smiled and walked inside. Later that night, Marcus gathered gear, drones, burner phones, tactical packs. "You don't have to come," Kiana told him. "I'm not letting you go to Sierra 9 alone," he said. "They took my brother too, remember?" She nodded. Then she opened her laptop, plugged in the external drive, and typed in a final command. "Send all files. Dead drop channel. Spectre fallback." "You sure?" Marcus asked. "If I don't make it," she said, "they'll know the truth." Transmission sent. Status delayed release. 7 days at 3:47 a.m., they boarded a cargo plane from a private airstrip. The pilot didn't ask questions. Kiana wore all black, her dog tags tucked inside her shirt, Elijah's voice still echoing in her ears. As they lifted off, Marcus turned to her. "What happens if it's a trap?" Kiana looked out the window. "Then I fight." Chapter 6. Signal from the Dead. Marcus's apartment was darker than usual when Kiana returned. The windows were covered with blackout curtains, and the only light came from the blue hue of 2 open laptops running parallel decryption programs. He turned as she entered. "You're bleeding." Kiana glanced at her arm, a shallow cut from Whitmore's hidden blade. "Not deep." "Did he talk?" She shook her head. "He tried to kill me, said they're sending Ren." Marcus paused. "Then we're running out of time." They inserted the USB into an offline machine, one Marcus had kept from his military days. No network, no traceable signals. Inside was a new folder, auto-unlocked after the last one was accessed. It was labeled Spectre Gray. Subject, Elijah Moore. Status, deceased, unconfirmed. Last signal, 18 months ago, Sierra 9 outpost. Kiana leaned in. The screen displayed a scrambled audio clip, corrupted, fragmented. Marcus clicked, "Clean up," and slowly a voice broke through. "Kiana, if you get this, I'm not gone. Ren lied. Trust no one. They're using the gym as..." Static. She froze. It was Elijah's voice, raspy, tired, real. Her brother was alive. Marcus looked at her. "Where's Sierra 9? Kiana blinked hard. "Western Nigeria, deep jungle, former black site. It was shut down years ago." Unless someone turned it back on. The gym was closed the next day, officially maintenance, but Whitmore's body had been removed quietly. No police, no questions. Just bleach and silence. Someone had cleaned up fast. Too fast. Kiana stood across the street in a hoodie, watching. A black SUV idled near the entrance. No markings, no tags. Windows tinted darker than legal. The passenger door opened, and a tall figure stepped out. Slick gray hair, red tie, red pocket square, thin black gloves. Elias Wren. He looked straight at the gym for a moment. Then turned his head. Looked across the street. Right. Address her. Kiana didn't move, but her pulse surged. Wren smiled and walked inside. Later that night, Marcus gathered gear, drones, burner phones, tactical packs. "You don't have to come," Kiana told him. "I'm not letting you go to Sierra 9 alone," he said. "They took my brother too, remember?" She nodded. Then she opened her laptop, plugged in the external drive, and typed in a final command. "Send all files. Dead drop channel. Spectre fallback." "You sure?" Marcus asked. "If I don't make it," she said, "they'll know the truth." Transmission sent. Status delayed release. 7 days at 3:47 a.m., they boarded a cargo plane from a private airstrip. The pilot didn't ask questions. Kiana wore all black, her dog tags tucked inside her shirt, Elijah's voice still echoing in her ears. As they lifted off, Marcus turned to her. "What happens if it's a trap?" Kiana looked out the window. "Then I fight." Chapter 8. Ghost Protocol. They didn't speak for hours. The jungle had swallowed the compound, but Kiana, Marcus, and Elijah had escaped through its last breath. They moved north, sticking to animal trails, avoiding satellite lines. By dusk, they reached a safe house, an old medical post abandoned during a failed peacekeeping mission. It was quiet, cold, and dry. Kiana laid Elijah on a cot while Marcus checked the perimeter. He was still unconscious, breathing but shallow. Kiana sat beside him, wrapping his hand in her palm. His skin was rough, calloused. But it was real. He was real. She had spent years believing his death was collateral, another name buried under a mission labeled classified. But that had been a lie. Everything had been a lie. Marcus returned with news. Someone scrubbed the compound's history from every satellite record. There's no mention of Sierra 9 in any official log. It's like it never existed. Kiana didn't look up. That's Ghost Protocol. What is? It's what they do when someone gets too close. They burn everything, physically, digitally, psychologically. You forget what you saw because there's no proof you ever saw it. Marcus sat across from her. Why keep your brother alive if they were going to erase everything else? Kiana's eyes were distant. Because they needed leverage. Because Elijah knew something Ren couldn't kill until he figured out how to extract it. That night, Elijah woke. Barely. Kiana. She was by his side in seconds. I'm here. He tried to sit up, winced. The chip, back of my neck, it's still transmitting. Marcus moved quickly. Say no more. He grabbed a med kit, sterilized a blade, and with Elijah's nod, performed the extraction. The chip was small, black, smooth, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Marcus dropped it into a lead-lined pouch. We're off the grid now, he said. Kiana leaned in. Talk to me. Why did Ren fake your death? Elijah's voice was hoarse. He was building a neural archive, memory extraction. They needed Spectre minds, battle-calibrated, not just for war, for control, behavior replication, predictive combat AI. They were going to build copies of us. Digital shadows. Kiana's blood ran cold. You mean clones? No, Elijah rasped. Worse. Software back in D.C., the video of Kiana submitting Logan had resurfaced. Except this version was edited, slowed, analyzed. Military analysts were dissecting her movements. Some were labeling her an unauthorized combat asset. Others whispered Spectre reactivation. And at the top of the chain, Elias Wren watched from his glass office. She's moving faster than we predicted, he said. His assistant, pale and silent, handed him a folder. Inside, a photo of Marcus, then one of Elijah, blurred but visible from drone footage outside Sierra 9. Then finally, Kiana's face, sharp, focused, defiant. Wren smiled. We let her run too long, he said. Now, we hunt. At the safe house, Kiana stared at the laptop Marcus had reconnected to an encrypted satellite. Data was slowly syncing from the chip they'd removed from Elijah. She watched file names scroll across the screen. Spectre AI/Betalog/Logan Rep, Project Echo/Prototype 003, Behavior Map Kiana Moore/Rev2, Target Integrity Simulation. Active. Kiana slammed the lid shut. They weren't just watching us, they were building us. Elijah looked at her. You know what this means, right? Kiana stood. It means we go loud. Chapter 9, The Black Mirror. The drive across the border was tense. Kiana kept one hand on the wheel, the other resting near the grip of her sidearm. Marcus scanned the road behind them. Elijah slept in the back seat, his head against the window, his breaths slow but steady. Their destination, Nova Point, a former underground server station once used by humanitarian agencies, now abandoned, scrubbed from maps, and reactivated by ghosts like them. It was off-grid, untraceable, a place to go loud without being silenced. We'll broadcast everything, Kiana said. Every file, every name, every face. And then what? Marcus asked. Then we prepare. Nova Point was buried under a mountain of ash and forgotten contracts. Dust covered the shattered solar panels, but once they reached the interior chamber, Marcus powered up the deep-core server node. The room glowed faint blue. Kiana stood in front of a reinforced terminal, uploaded the chip data from Elijah, and decrypted the final locked folder. Project Black Mirror. Simulation of combatants from classified elite divisions. Data sourced via neural mapping of Spectre operatives combined with predictive AI response modeling. Objective: replace human assets with programmable replications for global enforcement operations. Kiana's name was the top subject. Beneath her name, model success rate, 98.4% behavior, match. Optimal override capability, in progress. She stared at the screen in silence. They didn't just want to erase us, she whispered. They wanted to replace us. Marcus dug deeper. He uncovered active nodes running simulations. One was tagged K.Moore/Field Replica 2B. It showed a digital avatar of her. Same stance, same reflexes, running takedown routines against enemies she'd never met. They cloned your brain, Marcus said. No, Kiana corrected. They copied my fight. She looked over her shoulder at Elijah, who had woken and was now sitting upright. He nodded slowly. This is why Ren didn't kill me. He needed source code. Living, breathing memory. And now we have proof, Marcus said, pointing at the download progress. Upload to public decentralized net, 64%. Suddenly, a siren rang through the chamber. Kiana turned to the screen. Intrusion detected reverse signal trace, initiated intercept ETA. 8 minutes. They found us, Marcus muttered. Kiana pulled her weapon. Kill the upload if you have to. Get the drive out. No, Elijah said, rising slowly. Let it finish. I'll delay them. You can barely stand, Kiana snapped. I don't need to fight. I just need to be seen. Kiana stared at him. Elijah walked to the front of the base, loaded one of the wall-mounted camera drones, and activated a beacon on his jacket. Within seconds, the outer sensors picked up inbound heat signatures. He stood at the gates. When the first armored figure appeared, Elijah raised both hands and shouted, You want Spectre? I'm right here. Gunfire tore through the trees. The beacon exploded with a blinding flare, lighting up the mountain. Inside the base, the upload hit 100%. Upload complete broadcast active. Public chain ABE. Kiana grabbed the drive and motioned to Marcus. We move now. What about Elijah? She hesitated, then whispered, He gave me back my voice. I'm not wasting it. As they disappeared into the forest, the Nova Point facility erupted in flames. Ren's men found nothing but smoke, shards of steel, and a wall sprayed with red paint, the symbol Elijah once etched on his military patch, a shattered mirror. Across the globe, private inboxes and public servers lit up, whistleblower archives, combat simulation leaks, names tied to war crimes and erased agents. Black Mirror was no longer a secret, and Kiana Moore's name was no longer buried. It was burned into every screen they couldn't control. Chapter 10. The Extraction Order. The leak detonated like a data warhead. Within 24 hours, Project Black Mirror was trending on dark web forums, private intelligence circles, and internal government logs. Military contractors denied involvement. Agencies released vague statements, but it was too late. The truth was out. Spectres were real, and someone had tried to erase them, not just from the world, but from the record. And now one of them, Kiana Moore, was still alive and fighting back. Kiana and Marcus had gone deep underground. They moved through safe houses in Colombia, Spain, and finally Bucharest, changing IDs, devices, and patterns every 48 hours. But no matter how careful they were, Ren always seemed 2 steps behind. He wasn't chasing them with armies anymore. He was using governments, corporate proxies, anonymous reports, AI surveillance flagged on facial recognition patterns trained by Kiana's own fight footage. They're hunting you with a copy of you, Marcus muttered, watching a leaked video clip slowed frame by frame. Every frame was taken from your real-life movements and corrupted by someone who never bled to earn it, Kiana answered. In a hotel basement turned ops room, Kiana opened a red-lined message from a contact she hadn't seen since her first Spectre mission. The subject line read, "Extraction order, alive not kill, not contain, capture." "They want me back," she said aloud. "Ren doesn't want me silenced anymore. He wants to plug me in." Marcus looked up. "To finish building their ghost army." Kiana stared out the window. "Then let's burn the machine." They activated a contingency plan Elijah had whispered just before Nova Point fell. A Spectre fallback signal designed to awaken any surviving operatives in case of full blackout. It was old tech, analog frequency embedded in emergency radio towers scattered across Europe. They chose the one in Albania. Hidden in the mountains, surrounded by ice and fog, the station had been abandoned for nearly a decade. They hiked for 11 hours. No heat signatures, no drones. Just snow, stone, and silence. Perfect. Inside the relay bunker, Kiana set up a coded burst, 1-minute encrypted voice loop from her own Spectre profile, repeating a phrase burned into every agent's psyche. "I am not erased. I am not replaced. This is Spectre 7. If you hear this, activate." She looked at Marcus. "If even one of them hears it, it'll be enough." He nodded, then froze. "Kiana." She turned. Standing in the doorway, weapon drawn, boots soaked in snow, was a woman. African descent, braided hair, scar across her left eye, dog tags swinging around her neck, Spectre emblem burned into her glove. She didn't speak. She just nodded. Another stepped into view, then a third. Kiana's message had been heard. That night, in the mountains of Albania, 5 ghosts once thought dead sat around a fire. No flags, no ranks. Just the same look in their eyes. They'd survived erasure, and they were ready to extract the truth. Back in Washington, Elias Wren watched it unfold. Spectres were waking up. The system he built on silence was crumbling. He leaned back in his chair, eyes cold. "Then initiate Phase 0, he said. "Bring her home, or bury her for good."